Welcome back to Josh and Kristie Stealing the Internet. I'm Josh.
And I'm Kristie, and our stories today are all about something near and dear to my heart. Cake.
Let's jump into the first one.
Am I the asshole because I ruined my best friend's wedding cake?
I mean, I guess you shouldn't ruin somebody's cake, and you definitely shouldn't ruin somebody's wedding cake.
So my 24 female best friend Kay, 24 female, was married recently. Small wedding, tight budget. She knows that I pride myself on my baking skills and asked if I'd consider baking her cake. Of course, I said yes, and that I'd do it as a wedding gift to them, free of charge.
What could possibly go wrong?
There's this video I found scrolling on Facebook where a guy who was bringing the cake to the sweetheart table tripped and fell all over the cake. I thought it was hilarious, so I asked my brother if he'd mind getting messy. He thought it was hilarious too and agreed.
Sorry, her best friend's marrying her brother?
No, her best friend's getting married. She's making the cake. She saw a video of somebody tripping and falling on the cake as they were bringing it to the sweetheart table, the bride and groom, and thought it was hilarious. So she asked her brother if he would mind getting messy, and he thought it was hilarious too and said, yeah, he'd do it.
Maybe you shouldn't ask your brother about antics at a wedding. You should exclusively ask the bride.
But that would ruin the funny surprise.
Should there be a surprise, though? The surprises are for all of the guests. I don't know if you need to surprise the bride with a prank.
So I prepared 2 identical cakes. One is a joke for the trip, fall, smash, and the other to say, haha, gotcha. Kay has a great sense of humor, and her husband does as well, so I thought things would be fine. Wedding goes great, reception going great, time to bring out the cake. My brother was carefully walking the cake to the sweetheart table when he suddenly tripped, landing on the cake on the floor. Everyone froze for a few seconds, but Kay burst into tears. My brother started immediately saying apologies, the floor was slippery, it's just a cake, etc. Kay would not calm down.
Yeah, I mean, sounds like everything was going perfectly on her once-in-a-lifetime wedding day until her cake got smashed.
People stood up to console Kay and survey the damage, helping my brother up as well. When he stood, he turned to look at me, and I nodded, and we met in the kitchen. Bro changed into his backup clothes and grabbed the other perfect cake. I walked into the room and whistled so I could get everyone's attention. Then my brother walked out of the kitchen, and we both yelled, "Gotcha!" and successfully delivered the perfect cake in front of K and A.
It's just, your prank should not make somebody cry. On a day where there is a professional photographer constantly aimed at them.
We explained it was a joke, the cake wasn't ruined after all, but Kay didn't find it funny and yelled at me for ruining her wedding. It was a joke. We cleaned up the messy cake and had the other cake ready to go. Kay lost nothing, except maybe her sense of humor. I don't know, but now her family is mad at me and Kay refuses to talk to me. So, am I the asshole?
You're definitely the asshole. You couldn't even loop the groom in. You looped in your brother, who is, I guess, just your catering assistant. You didn't loop in anyone who's, like, relevant in the wedding party. So, yeah, you're kind of you're not kinda. You are the asshole here.
Yeah, I feel like, she is her best friend, but you feel like you should run it by somebody more closely involved in the wedding. The bride, the groom, the maid of honor, the mother of the bride, somebody, and get the okay.
Because it sounds like OP might not have been in the wedding party.
There's no mention of it. She's the best friend, but she made the cake and no mention of if she was a bridesmaid or a maid of honor.
Right, because if she was the maid of honor, well, maybe that's why she wasn't the maid of honor, because she's untrustworthy with pranks.
Yeah, you gotta wonder if she's pulled anything like this before. Also, though, maybe just a wedding is not the time for pranks of any sort from anyone. Like, maybe you don't even need to run it by the bride and groom. Just don't do it. Don't plan it. Don't do it.
It sounds like it was definitely not the theme that bride and groom were aiming for. Funny slapstick wedding.
Top comment. YTA, you don't plan things for somebody's wedding without running it by the bride and groom first.
I get the feeling that's going to be a lot of Reddit's opinion.
Another comment. What were you thinking? Your best friend's wedding was not the time to bring out a practical joke that no one but you and your brother were in on. Also, you made a special moment about your brother and you instead of the groom and bride. You're the asshole.
Yeah, because the one you saw online was definitely either fake or just a complete tragedy that the bride and groom cried about.
But no, it's funny, bro.
It's just a prank, bro. Why isn't anyone laughing?
This feels like a weird way to make her best friend's wedding all about her and get all the attention instead of having it on the bride and groom. Jealousy, maybe?
I assumed just bad judgment.
Someone else says, there's a difference between pranking the bride and groom, who have so much invested emotionally and financially in this day, and pranking the audience with the couple's permission. You're the asshole.
Which is what I thought it was going to be until she only asked her brother's permission, right?
Not permission, she just needed his help.
Ah, yeah, his insight into whether or not this would be funny.
And she didn't want to get all messy by falling on the cake. She wanted her brother to do it because, it's okay if a guy gets all messy. But you can't ruin your dress.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's good that he didn't trip and, throw the cake at the bride and groom by accident.
Wow, that's taking a cake smashing in the face to a whole new level.
Yeah, but it would make for a great YouTube video, though. So it's okay.
You're the asshole. Don't ever fuck around with someone's wedding. It's not funny and it's not harmless. Your stupid joke is the main thing that people will remember about the day. You absolutely ruined the entire wedding for her.
Yeah, that is now going to be the first thing people remember when they think about this wedding, isn't it?
If it was something like a birthday, then your joke would have probably been fine, but because it was at a wedding, it seriously wasn't. A wedding is such a big event in a person's life and often takes up quite a bit of preparation, so people really want it to go smoothly and without issues. Your joke caused your friend stress on her big day. She seriously thought it was ruined. That's not something you quickly fix by bringing in the actual cake. I'd say give your friend a real heartfelt apology and see what you can do to make it up to her.
Yeah, OP and her brother both definitely owe the bride and groom an apology here. She was definitely looking forward to getting nice photos of them, cutting the cake and feeding it to each other. That might have been the highlight for her photo session.
And now you made her cry and her makeup is ruined for those photos and for the rest of the night.
Yeah, right. The makeup artist has probably already gone home.
Oh, definitely. You don't keep them on standby through the whole wedding.
No, so the bride is left with whatever emergency backup makeup is, tucked away in the back room, but it's not as good as the kit the makeup artist probably left with.
So Reddit thinks she's definitely the asshole and a wedding is no place to be pulling pranks.
Yeah, I mean, most people don't even like pranks at all, and a wedding definitely isn't the right time for them.
Am I the asshole for making my ex a birthday cake, even though his girlfriend told me she already ordered one?
Why the hell would you make your ex anything, much less a birthday cake?
That's what I thought too from the title. I was like, why? But on to the story. I'm an amateur baker and I like to make cakes for people for their birthdays. My ex doesn't like sweet stuff, but our kids like helping me make a cake for him, so normally I make one for him anyway for their sakes.
Okay, that's very different.
That changes so much.
Yeah, you're allowed to help your kids make a present for their other parent.
This year, his girlfriend planned a party for him, and she told me she had already ordered a cake for him, so I didn't need to make one. I told her that was fine, but my daughter kept asking me when we would make her dad's cake, and was upset when I said we wouldn't because she assumed I didn't like my ex, and that's why I wouldn't make him one.
I mean, couldn't OP just tell her that that's not the reason this year they're doing a store-bought cake? Is this one of those Reddit stories that could just be solved by having a discussion with your daughter about sometimes you don't make the cake for people, you just buy it at the store?
I mean, maybe we don't get much of a conversation or that happens between her and her daughter, but it sounds like her daughter wants to make her dad a cake.
Do we find out how old the daughter is?
No.
Okay, because at a certain age, it's also a good lesson to teach your kids that other people's birthdays aren't about what you want.
Since the cake has always been more for the kids than for my ex, I decided to just make him a small one since it's not like he eats cake anyway, and I don't want my kids to think I dislike their dad. I told his girlfriend beforehand that I was going to make a small cake, and she told me not to, and that I couldn't bring it to the party.
Is OP going to the party?
I told her I had to bring it to the party, as that's when the kids would give him his gifts. I offered to come early and give it to him before the other guests arrived, and then they could put it away and nobody else would know about my cake, but she didn't agree with me and repeatedly told me not to bring it.
Sorry, it just feels like OP could have very easily pivoted her kid's gift into anything other than a cake.
But at the same time, why is the girlfriend so against a cake?
Oh, it's probably a territorial thing.
Like, if the kids want to give their dad a cake, let the kids give their dad a cake.
I mean, that is true. Kids should outrank girlfriend. Has anyone asked Dad's opinion on this?
No, we do not talk out our problems, Josh.
We don't ask Birthday Boy what he wants.
Then you ruin the surprise cake.
Birthday Boy doesn't even like cake. He doesn't want either of these.
It's your birthday. Shut up and eat the cake.
Yeah.
You can't have too much cake on your birthday. Everybody bring a cake.
Yeah, everybody bring him a cake.
I did take it with me in the end, and now she keeps complaining to mutual friends that I did it on purpose to ruin the party and calling me weird for making him a cake after I was told not to. Am I the asshole?
Wow, we really aren't going to hear anything about the dad's opinion on this, are we?
Well, OP does answer some questions in the comments. Someone asks, how old are the kids, specifically the daughter who was asking about Dad's cake? OP replies, my daughters are 2 and 4, the daughter who asked about the cake, and 5.
Okay, so 2, 4, and 5 is an age where Mom and Dad's birthdays are still a bit about you. Like, hopefully your parents want you to be a major part of their birthday, especially at that age. So, like, you coming out with a cake is probably very cute. Having said that, though, it also is fairly easy to change children at that age's mind and be like, hey, this year we're going to make him a fun card.
And then someone asks, has the girlfriend raised this with your ex, and what was his response on the day? OP replied, if she's raised it with him, neither of them have mentioned it to me. On the day, he was acting excited because the kids made him a cake, but he always does that to make them happy.
That's a good response from Dad. And with that info, I have to say, everyone sucks here. It sounds like whoever asked Dad what his opinion on the cake is would have not been the asshole. And neither of you did.
No, he doesn't matter. His birthday is not about him. It's about the girlfriend and the kids and who can make him the cake.
Yeah, so I guess you're the asshole because girlfriend did plan the party and you just showed up with a cake. Showing up with a cake at a birthday party when you're not the host is a statement, in my opinion, even if it is from your kids. It sounds like it's a tradition, so you're not a huge asshole, but you must have your ex's phone number. You could have called him. And girlfriend kind of sounds like she's in competition with his children for his affection by not letting them bring a cake, or she's in competition with you because you're still in contact with your ex. Either way, she needs to accept that he has children, and if she's not willing to accept that, then she's not right for this relationship, it sounds like.
Top comment, red flag. You were clear the cake was from the kids. The girlfriend is asserting her dominance. Any woman who says her boyfriend can't have a cake from his kids needs to think long and hard about being with someone with kids. Freaking out over a small cake from the kids ruining a party is ridiculous. She's very insecure, NTA.
Yeah, I agree with the part where I think girlfriend is definitely the bigger asshole here. It sounds like it's just a tradition with your family, and the kids are still his family, even if maybe you don't consider yourself that at this point, although you sound fairly close to him.
I mean, you do hope to maintain an at least cordial relationship with your children's other parent.
Right, and it sounds like they're doing a decent job at that. So, I don't know. I can't really blame OP for doing the cake, because the kids really like doing the cake. It's sort of at 2, 4, and 5, making something for your parents is really the only thing you can do for a gift. And it's tradition. I'm sure the kids enjoy it at least. I just feel like you could have also picked up that phone, so you're a slight asshole for that aspect.
Another comment. Even if I think OP was wrong, which I don't, I can't get past the girlfriend telling everyone that an extra cake from a child ruined the party. Someone replied, if the presence of an extra cake ruins your party probably sucked.
Well, it sounds like Dad doesn't like sweet things, so the more cakes that appear at this party, the worse the party gets.
People disagree with you. Can a birthday party ever have too many cakes? I think not. And that is my opinion.
That's your opinion. Once again, though, you didn't ask Dad what his opinion was either. Dad wanted bacon.
The wildest part of this is the birthday boy apparently doesn't even like cake, but both his current woman and ex feel so strongly that he needs cakes. And yeah, I know it's a party with guests and kids who all like cake, but it still strikes me as super weird since he's supposedly the guest of honor and there's like zero considerations for what he actually would like as a dessert.
Yeah, that's the thing is like, OP, you could have made so many other things with the kids. You could have made a card. You could have made like barbecued chicken.
Stick a candle in some barbecue chicken and have him blow it out? That seems a little weird.
I bet Dad would love it.
Okay, probably, but it just doesn't seem very birthday-ish. But even if he doesn't like cake, is there another dessert he likes? Because my family has done birthday pie, birthday donuts, birthday ice cream. You know, we do other desserts sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it just sounds like we should let birthday boy pick out his own cake. Or whatever cake substitute he wants, because it's his birthday. He should get the cake he wants.
Or the not cake he wants.
Or the not cake he wants. That's why I'm still going with everyone sucks here. Although I don't think OP is, like, nearly as big of an asshole as current girlfriend.
I think your willingness to let her know that you were still doing it and offering to bring it at a different time shows it's not about upstaging her and it's really for the kids.
Yeah, from the info we have, it does sound like she's pretty much just doing this for the kids. Although, I think the kids would be sad if they couldn't give their gift during the party.
So Reddit seems to think this is just way too much drama over something that is essentially just cake.
Yeah, I gotta agree. It is just cake at the end of the day. And if girlfriend really wanted to compete for his affection with his children, I think she could just blow those little turds out of the water if she brought in something savory instead of a cake. He wants steak and beer.
Hey, if you're enjoying this episode so far, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, it really helps us out, and it lets us know we should keep making fun content like this for you guys.
Am I the asshole for making my roommate pay the full cost of a wedding cake?
I mean, it sounds like you're not the asshole, but it kind of depends on how close to the wedding they destroyed this cake, I suppose.
Both I, 22 female, and my roommate, 20 female, are students. I occasionally bake wedding cakes to make some extra income. What happened was that I had baked a cake for a couple 2 days before the wedding and had it kept at our apartment. I had then left later in the afternoon, and when I came back, my roommate had somehow managed to eat the entire, intended to serve 50 people, cake in the span of a few hours.
Your roommate ate a 50-person cake. And a wedding cake on top of that. When this is your side business, so your roommate should know that you are making wedding cakes, and this is not just a beautiful white cake sitting on your counter for roommates to enjoy. Also, do you usually make the whole wedding cake 2 days beforehand?
Yes, they usually do, because it takes so long to decorate.
Oh, okay. It doesn't get kind of stale or anything?
No, the frosting seals it in pretty well, and it stays moist.
Oh, okay.
But also, like, if they screw something up, that gives them extra time to remake it.
It is nice to have extra time to remake it, because this is an important cake.
She's had an eating disorder for a while, but this is the first time anything like this has happened. She's never eaten any of my food before. Normally, I try to be pretty understanding, but this was obviously way over the line, and my roommate felt terrible about it. It was the first time I had left a cake out for an extended period while not home, and she says she lost control. Not an excuse, and she knows that, but thankfully I was free the following day, so I was able to remake the cake largely without any issues. But it did cause me to spend an entire day that I was hoping to have off on remaking it. My roommate was an asshole for eating the cake, but this is where I want to know if I am the asshole. I normally charge $1,000 for the type of wedding cake she ate. If she had wanted me to bake a wedding cake for her, I would have asked for the same price. So I think it's fair that she owes me $1,000. However, my roommate says that since I was still able to make another cake and get paid for the wedding, she wanted to pay me the equivalent of $20 an hour for the approximately 10 hours I spent remaking the cake, plus replace the raw ingredients, since I had already done the initial consulting and design of the cake in advance and didn't have to redo that part.
Well, I don't know. I feel like I would need to add on a inconvenience fee on top of that $20 an hour. At the least.
Yeah, because $200 for my day off, my entire day off.
Right, because you don't get the cake ingredient price. So that's just a push, right? That goes to the grocery store.
Yeah, the roommate offered to replace the ingredients, but she's not giving you anything extra for them. Just the $20 an hour for the 10 hours it takes you.
And that just doesn't seem like enough for really screwing you over here.
The inconvenience and the stress of having to redo this wedding cake.
Right?
On a rushed timeline.
Yeah, that's a rough position she put you in here.
Part of it is the principle of the matter, and part of me probably also feels as though by charging her the full price, it would help make sure something like this never happens again. But it's hard to be objective. For the sake of my roommate's privacy about the ordeal, we can't ask any neutral third party that we know, but decided to post here to see if we can find a consensus opinion on if I'm the asshole for asking her to pay full price.
I gotta say, I don't think you're the asshole. Personally, I might not have charged her the full 1,000, because there was some consultation and probably a delivery fee in there. But I definitely wouldn't have only asked for $200. $200 just doesn't seem like enough for 10 hours of work that went to waste.
Yeah, I feel like I might give her like a friends and family discount, but it would not be as low as 20%.
Personally, I might have gone like 60%, but it depends a lot on OP's workflow, you know, like how much they spend on consultation, how much they spend on delivery. Like, delivering a cake is hard. But yeah, like, I don't think OP's the asshole if the full price is what they've decided to go with. If you ended up going to court, I think the court would say full price is appropriate.
Reddit is actually kind of split on this. Top comment, NTA. I think it's pretty clear. She took something you wanted to sell for $1,000, so she has to pay you $1,000. Still, if you want to remain on good terms with her, I'd accept the $20 per hour for 10 hours plus ingredients. Someone else says, totally agree. This seems like a do you want to be right or do you want to be happy situation. The roommate objectively owes OP $1,000. But I mean, the two of them have to continue living together. $200 plus ingredients seems fair to me.
See, I kind of am leaning more towards OP's opinion of you almost have to ask her for an unfair amount of money. Because this is not behavior that can repeat. If the penalty is low, then the person that offended you is like, well, I can do it again for just $200 plus ingredients. That's what I would pay a store for this much cake.
Someone else disagrees with the previous commenters. The roommate eats, destroys, and steals the cake. Then she gets to set the hourly rate. How is that fair in any way? If OP usually makes $80 per hour plus ingredients, then the replacement value is $80 per hour plus ingredients. Did I miss where people started giving crappy human discounts?
Yeah, because $20 an hour is like $40,000 a year. It sounds like OP is more talented in her part-time job than $20 an hour, because she keeps getting business. It almost sounds like an insulting amount of money.
Another comment. NTA, this is pretty cut and dry. She destroyed an item valued at $1,000, so she owes you $1,000. Those 10 hours could have been spent making another $1,000 cake or otherwise working on something profitable or enjoyable to you. But none of that matters. It's like breaking something in a store. You pay retail price, not cost.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think there needs to be some sort of fee for lost opportunity. $200 just doesn't seem like enough to me. How recent is this post?
It's from 5 years ago, so quite a while.
I mean, it's still post-2020 when everything jumped in price.
True.
Although everything has jumped in price again since then. But $20 an hour was not great pay in 2021 either.
So Reddit's kind of split on this. But I think most people would agree that $1,000 seems like a bit too much, but $200 is not enough. You guys got to come to some agreement in the middle.
Yeah, and it's got to be a number that OP is happy with, because I like that one commenter's opinion of the person who did the wrong thing does not get to set the price of their damage.
Yes, and I feel like it needs to be a larger amount to deter the roommate from ever doing this again, but it also needs to be something where the roommate doesn't think it's completely unfair if you want to keep living with this roommate and being on good terms with them.
Yeah, that's the tricky part, because it does sound like OP still wants to maintain this friendship.
Am I the asshole for eating a cake in my car so I didn't have to share with my wife and kids?
I mean, I guess it depends on a lot of factors, like how big of a cake it was. But couldn't you have just gotten some extra cake for your wife and kids? Why don't they get cake?
I acknowledge, as a father and husband, that a lot of things that were singularly mine before just aren't. Wife steals my clothes, wife and kids steal my food, kids steal my phone. I'm fine with it, most of the time. But I just needed one thing to myself without hurting feelings and making someone cry, because everybody is sensitive in this house, including me. I bought a single-serve piece of cake and ate it in my car without my wife sneaking bits or kids licking the chocolate from the top. Unfortunately, got caught, Wife is upset with me for going so far as to eat cake while hiding in my car and called me dramatic when I told her my reasoning. Am I?
Honestly, I don't think you're being dramatic. I think that dad's sneaking food in the car is a time-honored tradition.
Top comment, NTA, but rookie mistake. Next time, eat it in the parking lot of where you bought it and use the outside trash can to throw away the evidence.
Right. I'm not going to call you an asshole for eating cake in the car and not bringing any home to your family. I'm going to call you a dumbass for getting caught, though.
Another comment, let me introduce you to a marvelous concept, decoy chocolate. You get your super special treat. You buy a large amount of the cheapest chocolate the partner or kids eat. Throw it at them, and while the vultures are distracted, inhale your treat.
I mean, that might be more fair if you bought your family a little treat, too. Even if you're like, well, I ate mine in the car because I was so excited. And then you never mentioned that your treat was better. But honestly, I feel like everyone in a relationship at some point sneaks food in their car without sharing it with their partner and family.
You've done that? You haven't shared with me?
No, I always share with you, babe. Don't worry about it.
I don't know if I believe you now.
I'm just lying to all of our viewers for content.
What you eating without me?
Don't worry about it. So many donuts.
Bring me donuts! Bring me donuts! And I think this person has the right idea. NTA, but seriously, also bring your wife a piece. Eat yours in the calm, quiet car, then be the hero who brought home cake. Win-win. But I think the trick here is you can't let those little children goblins know that you brought home cake. So you eat your cake in the car, leave your wife a piece of cake in the car. You go in and be like, hey, honey, go out to the car and I've left you a little treat in there. And then she can go eat her piece of cake in the peace and quiet of the car without the children gremlins trying to steal any. And the children will never know.
That's a fair point. Because wife is stealing little pieces. Are you buying her little treats on the days that she's stealing little pieces of your cake?
I mean, the wife is home with the kids when you get home. She probably needs a little break from them. Send her out to the peace and quiet of the car with the cake, and she will be so grateful.
Exactly. She has just as many kids licking the icing off of her cake as you do. So maybe a little bit the asshole. At least loop your wife in. Or if you don't do that, don't get caught.
Am I the asshole for refusing to label my wedding cake as vegan because a guest felt tricked?
I mean, I'm usually of the opinion that you don't need to label the vegan thing as vegan, because somebody who's not vegan can eat vegan food with no problems.
My husband, 32 male, and I, 30 female, had a vegan wedding because we're both vegan. We made it clear in advance that the food and cake would be plant-based, and no one complained until the reception. The cake was gorgeous, 3 tiers decorated with edible flowers. Toward the end of the night, one of my husband's aunts, Linda, came up to me looking visibly upset. She said it was disrespectful to have a vegan cake on display because it felt like I was pushing my lifestyle on everyone.
Does Aunt Linda not eat plants? Also, you made it clear beforehand that it was going to be plant-based.
I told her the cake wasn't meant to make a statement. It was just the dessert we chose for our wedding. She insisted I either move the cake off the main table or add a sign saying it was vegan so people weren't tricked into eating it.
Kind of sounds like it would be easier to move Aunt Linda out of the building.
I refused because 1, it was my wedding, 2, it's a cake, not propaganda, and 3, no one else seemed to care. Linda ended up storming out, and now my in-laws are saying I should have compromised to avoid drama. I think Linda's reaction was ridiculous, but my husband thinks I could have just put up a sign to keep the peace. Am I the asshole?
No, you're not the asshole. The second anybody starts making demands at your wedding, they're the asshole, and the correct response might be to toss them out of the wedding. Why do you need to label the cake as vegan? The only time you have to label a cake as vegan is if there is a vegan cake and a non-vegan cake. If all of the options are vegan, then you don't need to label them as vegan. And I bet it tasted fine, because vegan cakes are still loaded with sugar.
Top comment, NTA. The whole thing was vegan. It was your wedding, your choice. I wouldn't feel tricked by eating a vegan cake at all. She has some issues. Let her seethe and be upset. You don't owe her anything. Putting up a sign would have rewarded her bad, entitled behavior. You had no reason to do it.
Yeah, it does really sound like rewarding bad behavior. Aunt Linda has no reason to want this cake labeled other than some sort of strange hate for other people not eating meat. She's just sitting there the whole wedding like this damn hippie couple.
NTA, the only thing you are obligated to include are allergens, dietary, and religious food exemptions. Being vegan, unless they are allergic to something like soy, is not something you have to put. In fact, it's actually more time-consuming to label something vegan because every ingredient has to be outright vetted to not be animal-based to be legally labeled as vegan in the first place. Like kosher or halal, there are rules and guidelines you have to follow. Linda is being incredibly ridiculous, and no, a sign to appease people being dumb is not the answer. This is the kind of person that would have complained, sign or no, by the sounds of it.
It does sound like she probably would have found a reason to complain about the cake even if you put a sign up. And also, while signs do generally have to be put up for the sake of dumb people are also the ones that will not read the sign, so I don't know if it would help.
NTA, should you also put a sign up if you serve broccoli? You're not tricking anyone into eating something they're allergic to or tricking vegans into eating non-vegan cake. This is just absent of certain ingredients. The horror. Someone replied, just think of all the fun to be had at future family events. I would be petty AF and label every vegetable vegan.
Maybe Aunt Linda's like me and she gets a little grumpy when her protein is low. Although you probably had soy-based options at the wedding, so she probably had the ability to get protein into her. She just was repulsed by the idea of not having to kill an animal first.
Oh, this comment surprised me. Someone should tell Linda about Oreos, NTA. Did you know Oreos are vegan?
Yeah, I knew that.
I didn't.
You didn't?
No.
Oh.
Someone replied, I'm not a vegan, but I didn't feel cheated by Oreos when I found out they were vegan.
Yeah, that's the awesome thing about not being vegan. I can just eat any damn thing in front of me, and I don't have to worry about if it offends me.
If it's vegan, cool. Not vegan, also cool.
Yeah, I'm not saying that in a way of, like, trying to insult vegans. You do you, eat what you want, or what you need to. But yeah, it's just, sure, I'll eat vegan food. Some vegan food's awesome. There's a vegan bakery a few miles from us. Some of the best baked goods in the area.
You've been holding out on me? Is this the secret food you're eating without me? Because I have never even heard of this vegan bakery. When did you go without me?
I used to go and pick up a box of their muffins for client meetings when I was working advertising.
And you didn't pick up a muffin for me?
Did I never bring you a muffin?
No!
Oh. It's good.
Okay, we're going there later. So Reddit thinks NTA, you already told everyone ahead of time that the whole wedding was going to be vegan. There's no reason they shouldn't have thought the cake was going to be vegan too.
Yeah, the part where Opie and her husband made it very clear before the wedding that everything was vegan just makes it baffling that Aunt Linda didn't assume that everything at the damn wedding was going to be vegan.
Okay, I kind of get Aunt Linda wanting a sign up. I think it's ridiculous, but I understand her logic a little bit. But you either need to put a sign up or remove the cake from the main table.
I'm sorry, the cake does not leave the main table. The cake being at the wedding is far more important than you being at the wedding, Aunt Linda.
Like, where did she want them to put it? Tuck it away somewhere so no one can eat any of it? I don't understand.
Tuck Aunt Linda away.
So, not the asshole, but don't invite Aunt Linda ever to dinner at your house.
You know, something tells me that that's not a problem.
Am I the asshole for telling a coworker to stop bringing cakes to the office?
Gosh, I don't know. I can't imagine a scenario where I would be offended that a coworker was bringing cake in.
I have a coworker who is a hobby baker and often brings their finished products into the office to share with everyone. This would be perfectly fine once in a while, but it's nearly every day and was getting a bit excessive. I don't want to be tempted by sweets every day, and it is unhealthy and upsetting to see my coworkers being led into unhealthy lifestyles by the sheer convenience of the sweets. They surely wouldn't be eating as many cakes if they weren't brought in each day.
Okay, so far it sounds like OP's probably the asshole here. If somebody is bringing in cake to your office, that's only a good thing, it sounds like. And why are you policing your coworkers' diets?
Because they're not being healthy. There's just too many convenient sweets and they're eating them and they're all going to get fat.
Sounds like OP needs to bring in a veggie dip tray and see how that goes.
I was certain, and honestly still am, that others feel the same way, but did not have the willpower to speak up about it.
These weak-willed bastards.
So last week, I mentioned to my coworker that it was nice they wanted to share with us, but perhaps they could just choose their best creation once a week to bring that in rather than bombarding us with sugar and fat every day, since it will take a toll on people's health in the long term. She assumed I was speaking on behalf of my coworkers. In a way I was, which is where I might have effed up, and stopped bringing in sweets. But later, a few asked her why she'd stopped baking, and now my coworkers are upset with me that I asked her to stop bringing things in.
I'd be upset too. You have an awesome coworker who's constantly bringing in free food. Sounds like good free food too, because everyone's eating it. And you ruined it.
They said if I didn't want to have her snacks, that was my prerogative, but that it was uncalled for me to speak on behalf of everybody or to tell our baking coworker what to do or suggest she was having a negative impact by sharing. Apparently, her feelings were hurt for whatever reason. Though I hadn't said anything personal, I still feel bad about it though, as it was not my intention.
I mean, you just unilaterally decided to tell a coworker to stop doing something and said it in a way where it appeared that the whole group didn't want her to do this. Yeah, that's hurtful.
I feel I was just speaking my mind and looking out for everyone's best interests, but I like and respect my coworkers for the most part, so I'm worried they have a point about how I went about what I did, even if my intentions was right. So, am I the asshole for telling my coworker she should not bring cakes in every day? Or was I just the only one who would speak up for everyone's best interests?
Okay, you definitely aren't the only one that would speak up for everyone's best interests, because everyone else got mad at you for doing this. Don't try to justify it like you were doing everyone a favor. The person who bakes at the office and brings in food, or just anyone that brings in food regularly to the office, is everyone's favorite person.
I would be so mad at whoever told my coworkers to stop bringing in free food. That free food is the highlight of the week.
Right? I've had coworkers that like, hey, my kid was having a bake sale, so I made like an extra couple dozen cookies. They're on the table in the lunchroom. Best coworker ever.
One of my coworkers started baking sourdough bread, and like the past year has been the best. Sourdough bread, it is amazing.
I know. Sometimes she'll send loaves of sourdough home with everyone, and she makes good sourdough. I had a coworker who got really into smoked meat, and he would bring in just like a brisket. And I'm like, hell yes. That is my lunch today. You are a hero.
And for someone to try and shut that down for the whole office, they're a monster.
Depending on your office environment, that free cake in the lunchroom might be the only highlight of some of their days. I know that I've been having a bad day at work, and somebody goes, hey, free food in the break room. It turns things around.
One of the top comments, of course you're the asshole. Mind your business.
Yeah, mind your business is the most distilled version of this judgment, isn't it?
But if you want a more in-depth analysis, you're the asshole, let's count the reasons why. 1, you took it upon yourself to police everyone else's health decisions, as if we're talking about toddlers and not whole-ass adults who can decide for themselves if they want a slice of cake. 2, you projected your concerns on everyone else without asking them. 3, you had the ginormous gall to speak for other people and the complete lack of boundaries not to know why that's not your job. 4, you shit on something your coworker clearly enjoyed doing. 5, you also shit on the people said coworker clearly enjoyed doing it for. 6, you're arrogant enough to believe your savior complex bullshit and that grown people don't have the self-control to decline a piece of cake if they don't need a piece of cake.
Sorry, how long is this list?
8. 7, you're so clearly lacking in your own self-control that you would rather deny everyone cake than wrestle your own feelings of temptation brought about by said cake. And 8, you reached epic levels of cluelessness by saying you thought it was nuanced. It's not nuanced. You're a busybody. Very much the asshole.
OP, you made that person so mad that they made an 8 bullet point list
on the ways you are an asshole.
And I can't disagree with any of those points, OP. You were way out of line here.
And the comments are pretty unanimous. Everyone thinks OP is an asshole.
Yeah, OP, you're not going to get anyone on your side here. Free food is the best thing about working in an office. don't ruin it for everyone else. Don't ruin anything for everyone else.
Mind your business.
Yeah. You just saw a group of people smiling and you're like, I need to stop that.
Am I the asshole for offering 2 different kinds of cake at our wedding?
Why would that make you the asshole? We had, 5 different kinds of cake at our wedding.
It was cupcakes, but yes. I think we had 5 or 6.
Right. That's only a good thing.
My husband, Josh, and I, 27 female, just had our wedding a couple weeks ago, and we mostly got good feedback until today. We have heard that a lot of people have been smack-talking the cake behind our backs.
Smack-talking your cake? Both of them?
Josh and I were originally going to have a smaller wedding at a resort. We were fortunate enough to be given some money to invite extra guests, so we decided to expand the wedding and have some of our second cousins and their kids, and some friends that we otherwise wouldn't get to see as often. We are on a budget, so we decided to keep the fancy cake, the cutting cake for the pictures, not the real cake, for immediate family and the pastor and a few members of the wedding party that we have known for the longest. We gave them the cake in boxes to take home, though, so they wouldn't be eating it in front of everyone else.
Sorry, isn't that incredibly normal? To have a cutting cake and a eating cake at a wedding?
We got a couple of sheet cakes. One was vanilla and buttercream with rosettes, and then there was another sheet cake of pineapple chocolate chunk, especially for Josh's side of the family, because they spend a lot of time in Florida.
Sorry, is pineapple chocolate chunk an accepted flavor? Because I've never heard of this flavor.
Not in my opinion. I also have never heard of it, and when I read chocolate pineapple chunk, I was like, no, that sounds gross.
I will take one bite for the sake of curiosity, but I'm not going into that bite with optimism. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever had pineapple and chocolate comboed.
Also, Josh's family spends a lot of time in Florida, and that's why they got the pineapple cake. What the heck does pineapples have to do with Florida? I thought that was a Hawaii thing.
I mean, it's got a warm tropical climate, I guess. It almost sounds like you're punishing them for coming to the wedding. I don't know. It might be an excellent cake, but it also sounds like it might be an acquired taste.
We found out from talking with family that there was a lot of full slices left behind on people's plates of the pineapple cake, which the servers would not take home with them. So we noticed you can see it in a lot of the pictures.
That's actually super funny that a lot of your wedding photos have just these uneaten chunks of cake in the background.
Not even the servers wanted to take them home with them.
Yeah, servers are often college students. They'll take anything home.
That lets you know that this truly was an atrocious combination for a cake.
You should have paid your photographer extra to Photoshop the cake out.
We were having too much fun to notice at the time. We loved catching up with all of our guests. Apparently, Josh's family did not like the cake like we thought they would, and there have been some unkind words behind our backs. We got a text from Josh's uncle that wasn't meant for us to see, and it really stung.
Sorry. Also, just the idea of coordinating the cakes by family is wild to me. The weddings I've always gone to, they're both just usually sitting at a table and you go pick the one you want, or the server will ask you which one you want.
Yeah, a lot of weddings I've been to have chocolate cake and vanilla cake, and they will ask you which one you want.
Right, or if the budget's a little lower, it's just up on the dessert table, but I've never been assigned a cake before.
We are unsure where to go from here and what to say. The cake did not go off like we hoped, but we think they're being unnecessarily mean. By the way, there was a full dinner, 3 kinds of cheese, even Monterey Jack available, and an open bar that didn't close until late. So I feel like we were pretty good to our guests on a shoestring budget.
Sorry, what was that about even Monterey Jack?
3 kinds of cheese, even Monterey Jack.
Is Monterey Jack like an exclusive cheese?
No! It's like the most common cheese to get at the grocery store, right? One of them.
I mean, cheddar is the most common, but it's up there. OP, this just sounds like something that you have to accept that you're going to get teased about. Just lean into it a little and the teasing will get less painful.
Too long didn't read. We gave out 2 different flavors of cake at our wedding. Am I the asshole?
You're not the asshole. You're only going to be the asshole if you respond immaturely to them making fun of your what sounds like objectively bad cake. I don't know. Sometimes weddings have that little hiccup, and everybody remembers the little hiccup. It'll take them years to forget about it. But at least your wedding was memorable.
Top comment, NTA, but I'm a bit confused as to what Josh's family spending a lot of time in Florida has to do with deciding to have pineapple chocolate cake. I lived in Florida for almost a decade, and I can tell you with complete confidence that there is zero connotation between Florida and pineapples. I think you're confusing Florida with Hawaii, but beyond that, the combo of pineapple and chocolate just sounds yucky, and I think that's likely what people are speculating on. However, I wouldn't sweat it. Everyone will forget about it shortly, I'm sure. What matters is if you enjoyed your wedding.
I'm sorry. That commenter is very wrong. No one will ever forget about this. It will get brought up at your 10-year, your 20-year anniversary. Somebody will they won't even do it maliciously. They'll just be like, do you remember that awful cake at your wedding? And it will just pop back up every now and then for the rest of your life, and that's your fate. Family does not let things go like this.
No, this is going to haunt you. It is now the family joke.
And I will say, it's almost a blessing, because as far as jokes that your family constantly brings up about you having bad cake at your wedding is not a very painful one, right?
It could be a lot worse.
It could be so much worse.
Another comment. And why Monterey Jack cheese is mentioned as if it's a delicacy. I mean, I still say NTA and I love a good cheese as much as the next person, but I'm over here picturing some Sargento cheese sticks or something. Someone says, easy there, Mr. Moneybags.
Yeah, sorry, OP. I guess I'm just spoiled by making all this podcast money over here. My tastes have refined. Podcasters are so well known for making so much money, right?
I'm still stuck on the cheese comment. That one needs an explanation. I have Monterey Jack in my fridge right now. It goes on sandwiches. I can pick it up at the grocery store next to the lunch meats. I didn't know I was so bougie.
Is this a cake flavor that you could find a store that is selling it, like, commonly? Could I go out to a bakery and request this flavor and they wouldn't look at me like I'm weird?
Maybe in Hawaii? Here, pineapple is not a super well-liked fruit.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I could go and find a pineapple upside down cake very easily.
Yes.
But that's pineapple, cake, and sometimes cherries.
Yeah, white cake.
Yeah, white cake.
Not chocolate cake.
They don't even put frosting on it, do they?
No.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm just trying to... I can't picture the flavor combination in my head.
I'm just picturing pineapple chunks mixed into the chocolate cake batter.
Oh, is it a chocolate cake, you think? I was picturing a white cake with chunks of pineapple and chunks of chocolate in it. But it might have been a chocolate cake as well. I'm so fascinated by the concept of this cake. I want more details. Is it a white chocolate? Is it a milk chocolate? Is it a dark chocolate?
Sheet cake of pineapple chocolate chunk. Is it a pineapple cake with chocolate chunks in it? There are so many ways this cake could be made.
Right? And I feel like I would be hesitant to try every single combination. But I don't really like pineapple upside down cake. I don't want pineapple in my cake.
Another comment. I don't think the complaints were about you serving sheet cake, which is totally common at weddings, but rather about the flavor combination of chocolate and pineapple. Feels like you made a random choice based on a bizarre assumption of what people eat in Florida. According to my husband, who used to live in Florida, chocolate pineapple is not a Florida thing. Instead of asking the guests you were trying to cater to. And it sounds like you served the pineapple chocolate cake only to Josh's family instead of asking what they wanted. You're not the asshole for having two cakes, but if you didn't give guests an option and then got upset when the cake you thought they wanted wasn't eaten, then yes, you're the asshole.
Right? I would also relentlessly tease a cousin if I went to their wedding and they gave me a slice of mandatory pineapple chocolate cake, and then I look over and the other family gets just like a nice vanilla cake.
I would be a little upset because I don't want to eat this chocolate pineapple cake, but I love cake. I love wedding cake. It's the best part of the wedding. I want that delicious vanilla cake the other family's getting.
Right. I wouldn't be like mad, but I'd be looking over there like, hey, I want that. I don't think there would be any like anger. It would just be jealousy. And then, yeah, I'd have to tease you about it, OP. Do you think that this is just one of those situations where if OP was more lighthearted about the fact that, yeah, I screwed up the cake, it would sound less like her whole family has turned on her?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I mean, it is just cake at the end of the day. And I feel like cake is super important, but I feel like this is something I would kind of laugh off. Someone does ask, info, what were the other two cheeses? And OP replied, extra sharp cheddar and plain cheddar. I don't know why everyone's hating on the Monterey Jack.
It's the fanciest of those three cheeses. I'll give you that, OP. I'm not hating on the Monterey Jack. Monterey Jack is a good cheese. It's just not a fancy cheese. And I think that's what a lot of at least the comments that you read about the cheese, I don't think they were hating on Monterey Jack. They were just poking a little bit of fun at you calling it a fancy cheese. Do you think OP maybe can't handle teasing very well? Because I don't think those Reddit commenters were like tearing into her. They're just like poking some fun.
She might be a little sensitive.
It was her wedding. She's allowed to be a little sensitive about her wedding and the fact that instead of remembering probably the wonderful ceremony and all the other aspects of it, everyone's just talking about that damn cake.
Now, some people on Reddit think it's very important to know, was the pineapple chocolate chunk specified for Josh's family and that's what they got? Or were they free to take whichever one they wanted?
Yes, because I just assumed that it was mandatory for Josh's family. Was it not stated that it was mandatory for them?
She never did in the post state it, but someone asked, was the crappy cake designated for his family or were they free to take the vanilla? That's all that matters. OP replied, they were free to trade with other guests, which we thought would have the side effect of being an icebreaker, since many of them haven't met each other before.
Who the hell would trade for that cake?
Right? I was like, someone asked me to trade, I'd be like, no, thank you. And someone replied, yes, the famously successful icebreaker of begging strangers to trade cake.
It's not even trade cake at that point. It's like, hey, can I have half of your cake?
Because my cake is weird.
Yeah, I'll give you half of this. If we spread it out across 2 plates, it looks like we ate more of it.
OP goes into a little more detail. We distributed the buttercream first to my side of the family and the pineapple second to Josh's side of the family. They are not as big of eaters and more health conscious, so we always planned on serving them second, the way the tables were set up. It's what the caterer suggested. After that was gone, figuring people would trade pieces if they needed to.
I'm sorry, OP, that logic is crazy. So your family had time to eat most of the good cake before they even found out that they were getting a bad cake?
Yeah, how are they supposed to trade with the people who got served first and already ate their cake?
Because at a wedding, yeah, it's polite not to start eating your cake until everyone's served. At your table is generally where I cut that line, unless it's specified, you need to wait for the bride and groom to do something.
Someone replied to OP, you're the asshole for serving your family first. I've never seen this happen at a wedding, and it sounds super weird. Also, even having a chocolate cake and a vanilla cake would be very questionable if people did not have a choice. But having a crappy garbage cake that 99% of people would never eat was extremely poor judgment. OP replied to that, we didn't see it as a crappy garbage cake. We thought it would make them feel special, like a signature cocktail, but in cake form.
Well, then why didn't your family get a signature cocktail? Why did they get safe buttercream?
Because they don't have any fun personality traits like spending a lot of time in Florida that get them a special cake.
It's just something about bringing out the pineapple chocolate cake second makes it more insulting in my head. Like, you just watched all these other people get a good-looking cake, and when you get served, like, last at a wedding, you're sitting there like, I want that cake, I want that cake. And they're taking forever. They always take forever to get to the last table.
Also, I'd be a little bit offended if the other side of the family just got served before my side of the family. Like, are they better than us? Is that why they get to go first?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like usually they just do it by, like, distance to the kitchen.
Yeah, I mean, usually they serve people by table, and it's whichever one is closest to the kitchen or the buffet or the dessert table or whatever.
Right. Not by side of the family. If you did pick a side of the family to go first, it would always be the bride, though.
Which is what they did in this instance.
Right, so it's strange, but I don't know if I would be super insulted about that part. I'd just be like, oh, weird, that's how they're doing it. And then they plop down that cake in front of me.
Here's a comment I do kind of have to agree with. The real asshole here is whatever baker agreed to make a motherfucking pineapple chocolate cake, because that sounds absolutely heinous.
Yeah, but I can very easily picture a bride in that cake tasting session being like, so I have this idea for the groom's family and I love it and I will not accept no for an answer.
But I feel like I would still be like, are you sure? Are you really sure? Have you tasted it?
Yeah, like, hey, this might not be a flavor everyone likes. I could see the baker trying to caution them, but yeah, it's just hard for me to blame the baker for doing something they were paid to do. Question: at any point in this story, did OP say that she tasted the cake and likes the flavor?
No.
What the hell? That would have been a great defense right there, OP, being like, hey, I like this cake. That could have been your whole defense. I like this cake. Josh likes this cake, so we don't care if anyone else likes the cake because we wanted it at our wedding. OP, I hope so badly that you tasted the cake and liked it.
Okay, I'm having a little bit of trouble finding all of OP's replies in the comments because they're so downvoted. But the reason she picked chocolate pineapple is because she couldn't decide between pineapple and chocolate and was having decision paralysis, so she decided to go with both.
That was her. She couldn't decide between the two. So instead of choosing the safe chocolate option, she just threw everything into one pot.
It sounds like not the best option, right?
I'm sorry, OP. That is some unique logic right there. But yeah, OP, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just cake. I don't think anyone is actually holding like a huge grudge about it. It is something that you're going to get teased about for a while, though.
All right, that's our last story for this episode of Josh and Kristie Stealing the Internet.
Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.